What's up, YouTube? It's MythBro, and today I'm going to be breaking down all of the major and minor gods available to the Greek Pantheon. We'll be going through all of the age-up options that you will have, some of the bonuses that come along with it, as well as going through the major god bonuses and scanning through the tech tree. I'll be doing a video like this for each of the pantheons, so if you like the Greek one, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll have Egyptians on the way next, and I will put timestamps down below if you want to skip ahead to your favorite god. But with that, let's start off with the king of the Olympian gods. We have Zeus. Now, the bonuses for Zeus is going to be your infantry and heroes. And it's funny, I think this could also say myth units too, because if you look at these bonuses, you start with 10 favor, and that could be nice for rushing out some myth units. You gain favor 20% faster. Usually you're farming favor to train up some myth units. You can use on some techs. And your myth units are going to cost one less population. So these are very nice combinations. If you're looking to maybe, I don't know, spam out some Manticore when you get to the heroic age. But some things to consider with Zeus if you like having a little bit extra favor in the early stages of the game. And then as far as those infantry go, hoplites move 15% faster. So that's your main line. You might think of it as spearman or pike or whatever infantry unit that you have out of your barracks. And they're going to be faster. Not only are they faster, they do plus 50% damage to buildings. So think about the damage and the strength of that. If you go with a hoplite army in the second age and get a lot of them, you can maybe even rush down and take out some buildings and end the game. So those are the bonuses for Zeus. Let's talk about the different age-up options and the minor gods available. So in the first age, you're going to start off with Bolt as the god power. You can strike down a unit of your choosing. Often you see this used on a myth unit or perhaps a hero, and it is retold, so it will technically recharge. You could use it again later in the game if you choose so. The unique upgrade that you can get, this is available to research at either the town center or the temple. Olympian parentage. The blood of Zeus increases the hit points of heroes and reduces their training time. So that's a nice buff for your heroes you can get should you choose so, but you gotta research this, of course. When we head into the second age, the classical age, we are going to have two options. You can either get Athena or Hermes, but we'll start with Athena. Now, with Athena, it'll be the goddess of wisdom and strategy. Her improvements aid your infantry. So you're going to see some additional upgrades that may be going to help stack nicely with that native hoplite bonus, right? The god power you're going to have available, restoration. You're going to target a location and it casts a heal on all the units and buildings within this big old circle. And it's not only just your units, it also will do it to your allies as well. This is great when you're mid-battle, your units are starting to get low on HP, and then boom, you use this and it can turn the tide of an engagement. Restoration, a great god power to use. The myth unit going to be available will be the Minotaur. The Minotaur myth unit with a gore attack that will send a unit flying, and it's good against human soldiers. Now, as we know, the Minotaur famously trapped in the labyrinth forever, right? Angry, ready to get to the battlefield. A nice melee myth unit to have out on the battlefield. Of course, you get upgrade. There you go. The Labyrinth of Minos. At the end, it upgrades them to Bull Minotaurs, which are faster and have more hit points. Looking at those infantry upgrades, you get access to the Aegis Shield. Aegis Shield is a shield that makes infantry more resistant to pierce attacks such as arrows. So this is good if your enemy has a lot of archers. Maybe you're running it underneath raiding towers or fortresses. You're going to have some extra pierce armor, and that's going to be nice to have against archers with your infantry. And then you've got Sarissa, which is Athena's technology, extends the range of your hoplite attacks. Hoplites adds plus 1.5 to melee attack maximum range and melee attack damage and their hack attack plus 10%. So think about all those bonuses we mentioned earlier with the hoplites down here, 15% faster, extra damage. You add in extra ranged armor and you get extra range for them. Makes them one of the best infantry units you can have in the game as far as your mainline infantry. Now, if you go the other route, you won't have access to these, so you're gonna have a little bit of a different strategy. When you go for Hermes, it's god of messengers. Improvements benefit your cavalry, so perhaps you want to open more with a stable, aggressive raiding approach. This might be the route for you. The god power you're going to have available will be ceasefire. Now, ceasefire, you can use this anywhere on the map, and it will cause, of course, a ceasefire. The white flag goes up, all the battles have to stop. So maybe your villagers are getting raided, and you just need time to escape them. Or maybe you need time to train that next unit out. Or you're about to get your age up in. Or maybe you just need time to pull your troops back, reposition, maybe heal them. Ceasefire, a nice kind of lifeline to have in your back pocket. You can also use it to negate other god powers, right? If they use something that perhaps is going to do a lot of damage, boom, you call out a ceasefire and wait for that to tick down. Now, the myth unit available is going to be the Centaur. So the Centaur, a ranged myth unit, special attack is going to be that arrow volley, which does area attack. And you add 2, 3, 4 Centaurs and you use that area attack, that is so damaging on any raid or even against infantry in a head-to-head battle. Also pairs nicely with Cav. You're going to do some kind of like Cav and Centaur mix. You have a lot of mobility. You, of course, have an upgrade for the Centaur. It's going to be the Sylvan Lore. Hermes upgrades Centaurs to Centaur Polemarchs, which have more hit points and range. So it gives additional range on them, more hit points. Going to be more fun with your Centaurs. Expensive, though. 300 wood, 20 favor. But you get favor quickly with the Zeus. Looking at the next options, you've got some upgrades for your cavalry and, of course, your Centaurs. Increases the attack and speed of your Cav. So it's going to be a 10% speed boost and 10% melee damage attack and for Centaur ranged attack. So it could be a nice buff for your Cav. And then you can get the Winged Messenger. Hermes grants you a respawning Pegasus and significantly improves the speed and line of sight of Pegasus. So it's basically respawning, free scout you can get. If you can make the investment, 50 gold, 3 favor, not very expensive. You have a scout that you could even have rallied across the map. It might die over the town center. Just periodically send it out. A nice option to have. So if you want to go super infantry heavy route, you're probably better off going with Athena. Otherwise, probably going to think about Hermes. Let's go on down to the heroic age and see what we have available. So you've got 2 options. You've got Apollo and Dionysus. Now, with Apollo, you've got access to the underworld passage. You basically, in your base, you can put the one end of the subway tunnel, and then you can set the other end maybe behind your opponent's base, and you can jump through, boom, and just instantly pop out on the other side. It's a way to surprise your opponent, or maybe your army's out of position and you need to jump back to your base or something. You can pop this down. It stays out on the field until your opponent kills it. A very nice god power to use in a tactical manner. Now, this might be one of the best myth units in the games as it stands in the beta. Would not be surprised to see them get a tad bit of a nerf, but for now, oh buddy, you got to watch the cast game I have with Magic on the channel. If you haven't, go dig into it. I might not have posted it yet, or I did. It's coming. It was a great, crazy game. He was spamming out these Manticore. They are gnarly. They do a area attack with their tail, and they're quite speedy as well. And they will just decimate infantry. You give 3, 4 of them walk up to grouped up villagers, boom, 10 villagers deleted. Manticore, very, very, very strong myth unit. Now we got to upgrade. Apollo increases unit and building line of sight and allows you to see what enemy buildings are training / researching when you select them. So how about that? You get this, you can click on their buildings and see what they're training, what they're researching. That kind of intel is absolutely insane to have. You can also get the Temple of Healing. Apollo allows your temples to heal nearby allied units, so you can pull back, stand next to your temple, and catch some extra HP if you can micro your army like that. You also have an upgrade for Sunray. Apollo imbues I haven't heard that word. Imbues the projectiles fired by your units with sunlight, causing them to inflict more damage and reveal their surroundings. So that's going to give them 10% ranged attack damage. And it says reveal their surroundings. So I guess you see where those arrows land. A very unique upgrade indeed. And then you've got an upgrade for your ships. This is going to be unique if you're on a water map. Apollo's tactics allow your Pentacounters to deliver critical strikes, which slow the target and inflict extra damage. So kind of like a stun out on the water. Now, your other option, well, I'll first say I think this is probably the best option because of this myth unit alone right now, I will say. But use cases for others as well. You've got Dionysus, god of wine and celebration. His improvements grant good health and improved cavalry. So you've got access to bronze god power. This is going to give, you're going to activate this, and all of your army is going to get bronze, including your myth units, which is new, and ships, reducing their vulnerability. So it's going to give them more armor, and going to you use it in a big timing attack, or maybe your opponents use flaming weapons. You might want to activate bronze to try to counter it. A nice buff for your army. The myth unit is going to be available is going to be the Hydra. And I know I talked to Manticore, but the Hydra is badass too. He starts with one head, and as he gets kills, he grows another head, and does additional damage with each of those. So definitely a much slower unit, but an absolute tank to have out there on the battlefield. And you know, another reason you might want to go for Dionysus on a water map, you're going to get, you know, those myth units when you age up, and you're going to Dionysus causes your Hydra and Skilli to regenerate hit points over time. So you're going to actually have access to a myth unit on the water right there. The Skilla, which is basically a Hydra on the water, and it shreds boats. You get down the water, you're winning easily. That thing it makes the Kraken look like nothing. I actually haven't put him head to head with the Kraken. I need to do that in the future. We'll get that battle going. You have access to Dionysia. Which increases the hit points of all units by a percentage. So 5% hit point bonus for all units. And then you have the Thracian horses. Provides your cav with the carnivorous Thracian horses, which regenerate hit points when they attack. So you're going to be basically stealing HP from the opponent with your cav. So, you know, I talked up Apollo, but some very nice, unique bonuses down here with Dionysus. But it's going to be choose your own adventure for the given time. Let's go on down to the Mythic Age. Now, with the Mythic Age, you're going to have access to either Hephaestus or going with Hera. And I've seen both of these used. Let's talk through them. So Hephaestus is going to be god of the forge and labor, and of course, going to be improvements for your armory and your unique units. The god power you get is plenty. This is basically a bank. It's just going to be sitting there generating resources for you. I blame this god power for being responsible for the bank and AoE 3 and the factories and everything. It's just passive resource generation, which who doesn't love that in RTS? Plenty is going to be very nice to have in the back of your base. Save up your favor. You can get multiple plenties, right? You can get the Colossus as a myth unit. This titanic construct can eat trees or mines to heal itself. Good against human soldiers and buildings. This thing's just like a giant freaking tank, and he starts to get low on HP. Just turn around, gobble up a tree, and boom, you're back in action. He's got 2 upgrades there. So first one's going to make him silver, more HP, even more hit points here, and then also vulnerable to hack attacks. So you can really make this guy an absolute Hulk. And then got those nice upgrades. Forge of Olympus uses his Forge of Olympus to reduce the cost of all armory improvements. Especially think about this in the Mythic Age, 60% upgrades discounts across the board. Those are huge savings for just really stacking on those upgrades. Now think of it, if you've already got like some of these techs, you get all those final 8 in-game techs. Your army is going to be so powerful. And then you've got the Olympian weapons. Hephaestus improves the attack of Heterai, Myrmidons, and Gastraphetoroi. I'm going to have to work on pronouncing obscure Greek words I've never said, but basically going to be improving the attack of all of these units by 20%, as well as adding 1.5 melee attack damage bonus against myth units. So in late game, some strong myth units out on the board. It could be nice to have that, and I bet that probably also includes your attack against Titans, should there be one in the later stages of the game. And last but not least, we have Hera, goddess of the home. Her improvements and support your myth units and Myrmidons. And you're going to have access to... I think this god power is like freaking crazy. It literally deletes everything on the battlefield. Wouldn't be surprised to see this get scaled back, but for now, holy cow, abuse it. Lightning Storm is absolutely crazy. Like, plenty or Lightning Storm, I'm taking Lightning Storm all day long. You get access to Medusa. Everybody knows Medusa. You look at her, she turns you into stone. So she can basically just turn a unit into stone, boom, it's dead, donezo. And it's good against human soldiers. So she can turn, you get your fire giant, you just train, too bad. Medusa, boom, turn you into stone, you're donezo. You've got Argive Patronage. Hera's favor causes your fortress to periodically spawn Myrmidons for free, which free units, hey, that's really great. The Face of Gorgon is going to be an upgrade for your Medusa to Medusa Matriarchs, which have more range and turn enemies to stone more often. And then finally, you've got Monstrous Rage. Hera's range inspires myth units to move and attack faster. So you've got some mobility, you've got some upgrades for some passive units, you got Lightning Storm. A great route to go. A bunch of good options, and really explore them. Try it out. Let me know, what is your favorite route to take when you age up? Is it going to be Athena or Hermes? Is it going to be Apollo or Dionysus? Or is it going to be Hephaestus or Hera? Look at it into late stage. Let me know in the comments. Now we'll do a quick scan of the tech tree, and I'll try to highlight a few items here. You can see our legend down below if you're wondering: God power, myth unit, hero unit, improvement, and building. Now at your town center, you have access to get your unique upgrade, Olympian Parentage, we talked about earlier. You've got Jason as a hero and a villager. When you go through to the next stage, you can train Heracles, you can get your Masons, which everyone has access to upgrade your buildings. You can upgrade them once again further with architects later in the third age. Odysseus as a hero, which is a ranged archer hero. Fortified Town Center. If you haven't been aware, you got a pop cap, right? You're going to eventually hit. When you get Fortified Town Centers, yes, it upgrades your town centers, but increases your pop cap by 10 with each town center. So keep that in mind. You got multiple town centers. You want to make sure you get that additional population. Don't sleep on this. It's an expensive tech too. So keep an eye on it as you start to hit pop max. And then in the last stage, you've got a Bellerophon, which is just the best Greek hero. He leaps through the air, kills freaking everything. He is cracked. Really, really, really good hero to have around. A wonder, of course, the Titan Gate to unleash the Titan. And then you got to get the Secret Titans, of course. Secret of the Titans before you can do that. That's going to be down there at the town center. Moving on over at your storehouse, this is going to be for your wood and gold drop-off point. Nothing unique here, really. You basically, in each age, you can get an upgrade. Actually, the second age, there isn't a unique upgrade. You can get that as early as age 1, if you want to, for your wood and gold gathering. And don't forget, it not only makes them faster, but it makes them carry more. So it gets really good as you add these up through the ages. Now, looking at the granary, if you're coming from maybe OG, Age of Mythology, a little bit of a difference in the granary. There's no hunting dogs in the first age, and that's the case for every single civilization. Instead, you've got your typical husbandry for your sheep, and it's going to be for your herdables, and then you've got your plow for the fields. But in the third age, you can get hunting equipment. Villagers gain more HP, so it's kind of like your loom from other Age of Empires games, right? Or textiles. And you do more damage and gather food from hunted animals faster. So this is going to be your hunting upgrade if you're still hunting in the third age. Even if you're not, for that extra HP, you're going to want that. And then you have your final farming upgrade here at the bottom. That's going to be everything at the granary. Let's move on over to your dock. Now your dock, for everyone, you've got an arrow ship, you've got a hammer ship, you've got a siege ship. These are like a rock, paper, scissors, right? Arrow ship kills hammer, hammer kills siege, siege kills arrow, right? You got that. And then you have your transport ship, you got upgrade for your transport ship, and then you've got some unique upgrades. So with Heroic Fleet, the gods make all your arrow ships better at fighting myth units. So it could be nice. Maybe there's a Kraken rolling around in the third age, or if you get an Anastrophe, Apollo's Tactics allows your Pentaconters to deliver a critical blow, which will slow target and inflict extra damage. So your Pentaconter is going to be that hammer ship. Now, keep in mind, these unique upgrades are coming from some of these age-up options. Some of these are. So you got to keep that in mind. You're not just going to have it every time. Of course, I told you how you get access to the Skilla if you wanted to get it and get the upgrades. You can get heavy warships, which is going to upgrade everything. You can't get access to the Carxenos, which is a giant crustacean that is good against ships. I haven't really seen this one in action yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Champion warships, speed of warships. So that's going to be everything at your dock. And then, of course, your fishing upgrades, right? So if we move on over next, you've got your wall. You can get 2 upgrades for your wall up to a fortified wall. So if you're walling up, probably going to want these upgrades at some point, but they ain't cheap. So keep that in mind. A lot of gold, a lot of food. Make sure you can afford it if you're going to get them. Okay, we talked about these myth units already, so I won't cover those again here at the temple, but you do train your myth units, your Pegasus, and keep in mind with Greeks, you have to pray at the temple to generate that favor. Here's some of those. These are almost all the temple upgrades are going to be the unique upgrades. So these are the ones we already covered at the beginning if you want to back it up and look at those again. And of course, you got the Manticore and Hydra. And then in the later stages of the game, this is the spy ability, which is in Age of Mythology. Essentially, every unit costs gold, and then if someone's hiding their last units at the end, you can afford it. You get that, and you can see where they are. Right? Every civ has access to this. And then these are all those unique upgrades we talked about in the earlier half. Now, if we keep scrolling on, you've got your tower, and it's just your standard tower upgrades, but we'll cover them since it's our first one. This makes it so if you played Egyptians, you get your upgrade for free when you hit the second age. For the Greeks, not the case. You have to upgrade your towers to actually shoot. So you got to upgrade these bad boys to this in the second age. You can get an additional line of sight with signal fires, and even more line of sight with carrier pigeons in the third age. Now, an upgrade you're going to want to consider, crenellations. Increases the range of tower and causes range buildings to deal bonus damage to cav. So if you've got a lot of cav raiding you, wreaking havoc, and you've got towers nearby, crenellation is going to be a great upgrade to have. Or maybe you're adding some additional towers out on the field or even in the mid-map secure position. Very good for helping to shut down those raids. And then you got guard tower in the third age, upgrades me even further, ranged attack damage plus 40%, and then boiling oil. So your towers cannot shoot straight down. Neither can your citadels. You have to have this upgrade if they're nearby. You need it, otherwise troops can sit right underneath and take down your tower. This is different from AoE 4 where boiling oil is kind of an extra upgrade. You need this if you want them to shoot what's underneath them at all. Okay, now moving over to our range of military. We've got the military academy with the archer range and the stables. So that's going to be your hand infantry, your archers, and then of course your cav, right? Now, we talked about a few of these upgrades for your hoplites, but there is the unit in action. It says it's good against cavalry, but you have to realize there's a lot of soft counters in this game. So while, yes, it's good against cav, it doesn't counter as hard as maybe a spearman does in AoE 3 or AoE 4. It's really an all-around generalist unit. So don't be surprised when you got hoplites like wrecking your archers or stuff because they got a big mass of them. Like, they're going to be a good generalist unit, particularly if they get all those upgrades that we've talked about, not to mention the civ bonus. Now, when you get to the third age, it unlocks basically a counter infantry unit. So the Hippopist is essentially only good against other infantry. So this is more of a specialist unit. Very deadly to use against Norse, as you can imagine. Your enemy has a lot of infantry. Hippopist is going to be a good option for that. And then you got speed upgrades for your barracks, how fast they train, and then finally your champion upgrades. So that's going to be at your barracks. Look at the archer range. You have one simple choice. You have toxotes that are going to be available for your archers. There's going to be good archers, good against infantry. And then when you hit the third age, you've got the counter archer, the peltis, right? So it's going to be good against other ranged soldiers, of course. You got upgrades come along with that. If you go for Apollo, you get Sunray, which is nice for your archers. And then you have their champion upgrades as well as speed. So that's going to be with the archers. Now, heading over to the stable, you have access to the Hippopus. I can never say it right. The Hippus. There we go. I think that was the closest. Shred me down in the comments. Bring it on. Good against ranged soldiers and siege engines. So that's going to be your cav you're going to have running around. Of course, depending on the upgrades you could get some additional speed and attack if you have unlocked a centaur, and there's your upgrade for it. When you get to the third age, you can unlock the Podromos. Now, the Podromos is going to be a counter cav unit, only good against other cav. That also includes chariots. Chariots do count as cav as well as archer. Keep that in mind. And then the speed and veterancy upgrades that come along with the stables. That's going to be your stable. And then we look at our armory. No, it's not a blacksmith, but you'll hear me call it that. And if you haven't played Age of Mythology before, it's good to know this. Copper weapons is going to improve the attack of all human soldiers, heroes, ships, and buildings. So this isn't just archers. It looks like, oh, it's just arrows, right? It's my range upgrade. Now, maybe in AoE 4. Here, this is just all of attack of your units, okay? And you get that through the ages more and more. Copper armor is going to be improving your human, hero, and ship resistance to hack attacks such as swords. Now, what does that mean? It's going to be helping you have more armor against melee units. That's going to be cav, that's going to be infantry. One thing to note, If you're playing against the Norse, they're throwing axemen. While you think it would be, you would want the pierce, the copper shields, the throwing axemen do hack damage. So you actually want copper armor if you're going up against the throwing axemen. So it's good to know. And then last but not least, you got copper shields. This will be your resistance to pierce attacks. So that will be the arrows, right? And this does impact your ships as well. If there's arrow ships, right? You got to think about that. So copper shields is going to be for your resistance against archers or running under town centers, whatever it is. That's what that's going to be. And then you can get, of course, additional pierce if you get the Aegis shield. Now moving on, we got the market, and at your market offerings, this is where you can trade and sell resources or give tribute to your allies. You can train your donkey caravan. They go from the market to one of your settlements and must be to a settlement. You can get upgrades to improve the rates of the trade at the market, as well as an upgrade to increase the speed of your caravan. So that's how you really generate that late game gold when the gold starts to run out. And then we look at your fortress. Fortress available in the Third Age. In Retold, you do have to build a fortress in order to advance to the Mythic Age. So it's a prereq, which is a little different from other titles. And then at your fortress, you can, of course, train all the heroes that we've mentioned before. And you have access to the Petroblos. And it looks like a mangonel. Like if you played it before, it does not function like that. So it's only good against buildings and ships. So that's how you're going to use it, getting it in the Third Age. And then moving out in the Fourth Age, you unlock the Helopolis, and this thing is like the siege tower on steroids. This thing does so much damage. It's a rolling tower of destruction, and of course you can garrison units in it if you want to. I don't really do it a whole lot, but it does buff it up if you do. So something you could absolutely do. You've got upgrades for your siege, so siege weapon speed, and then you've got increases siege weapon range and attack, especially against walls here with engineers. And then a unique unit for the Greek, the Myrmidon. And we saw one of the gods, right, unlocks the free spawning of them, right, if you went up with Hera, right, with this tech. So the Myrmidon, it is going to be, deals divine damage, which ignores standard armor value, benefits from infantry improvements. So divine damage is going to be ignoring enemy armor. So a very unique use of that. And then you have the Heteros, which is a calf of Poseidon, deals area damage and good against most units. Don't you love a tooltip? Good against most units. Yeah, I'll be making that. I'll be training that, and will benefit from your calf upgrades. And then a very unique tech, the Gastrophotoros, the Archer of Hades. So this is going to be good against infantry and buildings. So benefits from range soldier improvements. If you played AoE 3, think of like the Aztec, like Arrow Knight, like, right? These bad boys going to sit back underneath the safety of your fortress, and they're going to be sieging from afar. And you get a bunch of these going on, boy, oh boy, they are bad news. They are very, very good at taking out buildings. So that is going to be the entire roster for Zeus. Don't forget, you got those base bonuses with favor at the beginning, and then you've got the bonuses for your hoplites and your infantry. With that, we'll be moving on to Hades as the next part of this video. But if you've watched this far, give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you've enjoyed it down below. It really helps me out with my AoM content, and maybe even subscribe to the channel. Let's go on to Hades, the god of the underworld. Okay, so I will try not to be redundant with the ones we've already covered. So if you just skip to this portion and I skip over one of these minor gods, it's because we already covered it in the Zeus section. So go on back to check that out. Okay, so the base bonuses for Hades. Hades is going to be focused on your ranged soldier and your buildings. 20% chance for fallen humans to return as shade. So it's kind of like you lose a unit, you might come back as this little ghostly shade. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's just extra cannon fodder to have in your army. Nice to have. Your myth units, they get plus 20% hit points. So imagine, look, oh, they also have the Manticore. Get 20% hit points. Boom, on the Manticore. Very nice to have. Range fortifications are going to have +2 range. That's going to be your towers. That's going to be your fortresses, etc. Your ranged soldiers and heroes also more range. Hence, he's the focus on ranged soldiers. If you like archer spam, Hades, it's going to be a good one for you. Ballistics and burning pitch are researched instantly and for free in their respective ages. That means those upgrades for towers, your fortresses, you get them for free. So, man, that stuff alone, badass defensive and offensive capabilities, right? For Hades. So that's the bonuses. Looking over at age 1, you have access to the Sentinel. You can target yours or an ally's town center, village center, or fortress to protect it with Stone Guardian. So they go zoom when you get 4 of these statues show up around your town center. A nice defensive option to have. And then an upgrade, you get Vaults of Erebus. This is going to be a steady trickle of gold once you get this 2.5 trickle rate of gold there. So don't forget to pick that up. Now, by the way, pro tip with Sentinel, you can actually build it on a village center, and you can build a village center whenever you want. You can rush a village center, drop it in front of their base, and drop it, and they have sentinels in their way, right? It's like the White Tower drop or something from AoE 4. It's absolutely deadly. I did it in one of my final games on the beta. Oh my gosh, go check out my Twitch VODs. It was hilarious. I think Yodesla also casted my game on his channel. If you go check it out, his YouTube Yodesla, when I did this Sentinel Rush. It is insane. Okay, so in the second age, you have access to either Athena or Ares. Now, we already talked about Athena and her upgrades for your hoplites. Let's talk about Ares. So Ares has the god power Pestilence. Now, Pestilence got a little bit of a makeover here in Retold. With Pestilence, you can target an enemy town to inflict it with plague. So what this will do is prevent the buildings from firing projectiles and slows their unit production. So before, it just stopped training, how it used to be. Now it slows training and stops them from targeting projectiles. So that means there's a bunch of towers, maybe it's a town center, and you want to go for a raid. Boom, you use Pestilence, and those towers aren't going to be shooting. That tower's not going to be shooting. And they might be a sitting duck. Maybe all their army is forward, they build a bunch of defenses, and suddenly they're not shooting. Very nice god power to use. You unlock the Cyclops, which is a big old myth unit that hurls. He'll pick up and throw yeet units across the field, and it's good against human soldiers, of course. You get Phobos' Spear of Panic. Who doesn't want that? Lynn's Hoplites Militia and Prodromoi, the Spear of Panic, which enables them to inflict extra divine damage. So that gives you +1 melee attack for Hoplite, Militia, and Prodromos. Remember, divine damage ignores armor, so that's going to be really massive. You got to upgrade for your Cyclops to give them more attack and more damage. You've got Enyo's Bow of Horror. So if you like your archers, this will probably be the one to go up with, right? It will land Toxotai, the Bow of Horror, which causes arrows to fly incredibly quickly and inflict more damage. So attack speed is going to be faster, as well as the range attack damage. And then last upgrade here, you have Demios' Sword of Dread. So Ares is going to land Hippasus, the Sword of Dread, increasing their attack and enabling them an age earlier. Oh, you get Hippasus in the second age if you get this. I didn't even know that. That's your counter infantry, right? We talked about. That's how you get the Sword of Dread. So that's going to be with Ares. Absolutely a great option. I mean, if you're going Hades for the archers, this is probably the route you want to go anyways. And then you can compound that and go up with Apollo. We talked about Apollo already, but you get access to Sunray, you get the Manticore, etc. If you want to learn more about that, back up. But you get Aphrodite, hubba. The goddess of love and beauty. Her improvement aids your villagers. So the god power you're going to get, Curse. You can turn an enemy army into freaking pigs. Yes, suddenly you got this big army and boom, they're turned into pigs. And if you can win the fight, you can take those pigs back home and you can eat your enemy for dinner. That's going to be Curse is a thing you use. The Nemean Lion. Now, we talked up, of course, the Manticore earlier. Nemean Lion also packs a punch. Every time he does a roar, it stuns the enemies in the area as well as causing damage, which is huge. You've got all your infantry around, your enemy kind of stuns, sidesteps for a second. It's going to be very nice. Just kind of a support myth unit, it kind of feels. Golden apples cause your villagers to produce favor from temples faster, which is going to be 20% faster with golden apples. Divine Blood. Aphrodite causes villagers to move faster and build faster and carry more. Basically, it just makes everything better, right? You got upgrade for the Roar of Orthus, which we already talked about for more area effect. And then the Argonauts is going to be a unique water upgrade you can get. It grants you the Argo, a powerful heroic ship. So you get a hero ship. Of course, having hero ships nice because you can go after those myth units on the water. So nice way to counter that up here. Aphrodite giving you a nice palette of upgrades and units. And then we head down here to the Mythic Age. We already talked about Hephaestus and those upgrades with the Zeus video. But with Artemis, you unlock the Earthquake, which is super awesome. Use it on enemy buildings, and the epicenter of the earthquake does the most damage. So use it like in the middle of their town center, in the middle of their fortress. Don't use it on units, and don't use it in your own base. And I have to say this because I saw people do this during the beta. Use it on your enemy. The Earthquake, of course. The Chimera, which is a really cool unit. Look at it. He's got a snake, he's got a goat, and he's got a lion. And it breathes fire on adjacent units. So good against human soldiers, and it's going to zap them. Flames and Typhon can be an upgrade you can get for them. And actually the tooltip goes off the screen, as you can see there at the bottom, but we'll give them additional attack, special ability, etc. And damage over time. There you go, deal damage over time. You can continue your archer trend, right? Artemis sends your ranged soldiers her shafts of plague, increasing their attack and causing them to poison enemies. So that'll do damage over time. So imagine if you upgraded with Ares, you got these archer upgrades, and you went up with Apollo, got these upgrades, and then you went this way. Your archers will be so potent. And then the last upgrade, Beast Slayer. Blessings improves the combat abilities of your heroes against myth units. So you got really strong H4 myth units. You got maybe a Titan skulking around. This is going to be an upgrade to have the Beast Slayer. Now let's take a quick scan of the tech tree, but all this is going to look pretty familiar from what we just looked. Now the hero offerings will be different. So you're going to get Ajax, which is a melee hero. Achilles, which is going to be a mounted hero on horseback. Chiron is going to be a ranged hero. And then you've got Perseus, which has the head of Medusa. So, he can petrify units just like Medusa would, right? So that's going to be your hero roster there. No Bellerophon. We see all the upgrades that we've already talked about through here. There's that unique hero ship we talked about there with the Argo. And then, of course, your Argonauts. And then, I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's very similar to what we saw already with Zeus. So with that, let's move on to Poseidon. Now, Poseidon is probably going to have even more overlap of what we've already seen. Nothing really too unique from the god front, but let's talk about the bonuses. So the focus is going to be cav and economy. Militia spawn from raised buildings. That means if you lose a house, you get a few militia to fight, and they don't die. They don't just like, they're not like Minutemen. They don't just like die over time. You keep them. These are units you can keep. And what this can do is it really can deter like early rushes against Poseidon. Because if you say you're rushing, you're trying to take out a temple or take out a house or whatever it might be, you're going to do that. You're going to take damage along the way, and then the militia are going to stop out, and you might even take more damage. So very nice way to defend your base. I once was trying to rush someone and was like, oh man, this backfired when all these militia showed up. Caravans and cavalry and myth units get 0.4 speed. So they're going to be giving you speed for all of your cav, essentially, including myth units. So speedy. A free hippocampus responds at the first dock. I love this on hybrid maps because it's like sometimes you're just wondering like, where is enemy dock? You get this free scout on the water, you just patrol them back and forth, and you find out where all their stuff is. Very nice. And then markets are cheaper and exchange rates are improved by 15%. So especially in the late game, the market exchanges can be super nice, even in the earlier stages if you want to. But those are going to be the bonuses for Poseidon. Now looking at the minor god roster, we've already seen all these, but let's cover some of these bonuses. Lord of Horses, Poseidon improves the line of sight of cav and scouts and causes them to regenerate hit points. Now I understand it that I believe Lord of Horses in original gave discounts, but it's not going to be the case here. So that can be your upgrade. And then the god power you have in the first age is Lure. So target a location and erects a special stone which draws animals and spawns chickens. So you plop this down, it will spawn some chickens around it, which are free food. It's going to draw in animals from like across the map. They walk up to it, and it counts as a drop-off point. So you can put it out on your first hunt if you want and like forego doing a mill. Now do realize after it's done collecting its like max amount, it does disappear. So you will have to build a granary eventually. But I see a lot of people just drop it right by their town center because then you have safe food under your TC. You've got chickens under your TC. It's really nice to, maybe you can even gather that, save it for later, and go for some kind of fast heroic. We got safe food under your TC. Lots of possibilities. Now, we talked about all of the minor god options here, but just to show you, we've got Ares and Hermes for the second age. You've got Aphrodite and Dionysus for the third age. And then you've got Hephaestus and Artemis for the fourth age. If you skipped ahead in the video, go on back to the Zeus portion and Hades, where we covered a portion of this. And then if we just scan on through, looking at your hero roster, you've got Theseus without a ship, just plain old Theseus, melee unit. Atlanta, she is super, super speedy, can run around, good melee unit. You've got a ranged Hippolyta, which is going to be a ranged myth unit. And then you've got the Polyphemus hero, the big Cyclops hero in the fourth age. So that's going to be the hero option you have. There's that cute little hippocampus we talked about, your scout on the water, as well as some of the different upgrades and myth units you can get, same as the other minor gods. And then as we scroll through to the end, this is pretty much all the same from what we've seen. So with that, we have covered the entire Greek pantheon, and I'd like to hear from you. Which Greek god is your favorite? What bonuses, what techs stand out for you? What's different in Retold that really is struck you as unique from compared to the original? And with that, I hope you enjoyed learning more about the Greeks. As always, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and be on the lookout. I'll be doing a full coverage of the Egyptians next, so be on the watch for that video. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.